Alright, this is station P10. Transmit a spot report with a tactical man-pack radio. Task: assemble and load communications security COMSEC into a tactical man-packable or vehicle-mounted radio. Program it for both line of sight LOS and satellite SAT voice communications. Then conduct a line of sight radio check. Use this radio to transmit your spot report, SPOTREP. Condition: you're a member of a team who has been directed to prepare your radio for operations in a non-CBRN environment. Next, you have moved to an observation post and OP and are witnessing enemy operations. Intelligence reporting gives the size of your target as the greater states height or width of target, ensuring the candidate identifies it. Standard: assemble, load, and program the radio and conduct a line of sight radio check within 5 minutes. Correctly transmit a spot rep in sequence using proper radio telephone pronunciation and procedures within 10 minutes. Okay, that's what the task condition standards state, but to make it very clear, you'll not do anything with a satellite radio or a standard ANPRC 117, i.e. ASIP radio. You're going to be doing it with a 163 radio here, so there are different radio procedures. So you will come to the station, you will be given a radio and all your materials. You'll be given a 15-minute window in which to put your radio together, to turn it on, program it properly, and send up a radio check. Then complete your spot report to include range estimation, and then you'll send that spot report up to your grader. All tasks must be completed within 15 minutes. When a candidate arrives to the station, the candidate will be given the following equipment: a pair of binoculars, a radio, a compass, a simple calculator, a map marker and a correction pen, a clipboard with materials. Those materials are a protractor, a map that is laminated for you to write on with a map marker, and on the back of the map is a mil scale and azimuth correction for magnetic to grid azimuth. All right. The next thing you'll have is a scratch laminated piece of paper to write your spot rep on. All right. On the back of that is just another spot that you can write on if need be. And then the last item that you're going to have is two-sided. The first side is going to show you the different uniforms you'll see out here and what they mean. And on the other side will be an SOI card that provides you radio frequencies, challenge and password, number combinations, and authentication numbers, colors, and different passwords that are going to be utilized for authentication of your transmission. Okay, the first thing you're going to do when you arrive to the station is turn your radio on. Rotate the top left knob until the radio turns on and wait for it to power up. As the radio is powering up, you're going to prepare yourself to conduct all the changes to the program. You're going to change the speaker and the radio side push to talk button from disabled to enabled. And after that, you're going to change the TSM channel to the channel that you were required to change it to send up your spot rep. At this time, the radio is initializing, and the power up complete change preset screen is when the screen goes away and you're able to see data and information, you will take the next step. The entire startup of the radio and programming can take anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 minutes. You have 5 minutes to complete this portion. At this time, the screen now shows menu data. You're going to hit the bottom right arrow and over to the side one time to show TSM data. Now it shows TSM and it says 2505 PIR, and then the top right it says BCO command. At this time you're going to go to the bottom left button, the 0, and you're going to press it 3 times. Now you see numbers 13, 14, 15. Those are your channels. You're currently on channel 14. Hit the enter button and the square starts blinking. Use the left arrow to change your frequencies to 01 battalion command and hit enter. The box will continue to blink. That's okay. Hit the clear button and clear out until you see the main screen. Now you see where it says 2505 PIR. In the top right hand corner it says command CMD. Now you must enable the push to talk in the speaker. Hit button 7 OPT, and then you're going to press enter on the system. You'll see audio options. Scroll till you find it, hit enter. Then you're going to go to radio speaker, hit enter. You see it says disabled. Hit the up and down arrows until it changes to enabled and press enter. It returns you to the menu. You're going to go down to radio side PTT and press enter. Again, up and down on the arrows until you've enabled it and pressed enter. Now press the clear button until you've exited. At this time, the radio should be ready to transmit. If it is not, you will note that there is no information. ALT01 and these numbers here will not be present. It will be dashed lines, T3, and a bunch of dashed lines. Until these dashed lines over here disappear and you're able to see ALT and the numbers, you're not able to transmit. When you are ready to transmit, you will use the side push to talk buttons to transmit. The up and down arrows are for volume. Do not touch these top two buttons, they do nothing for you. The top push to talk button with a single dot is for SINGARs. You will not use it. The bottom button with the two dots is for TSM. This is the button you will use for push to talk to communicate. When you're ready to communicate, you'll grab the radio, press the side push to talk button, and execute a radio check with a Grader's radio.
Radio check, over.
Now your radio is able to transmit, you're able to receive, you've completed enabling your 163 radio. To start the spot rep, the first line, prepare spot rep, your line 1 is going to be the date time group. So line 1 needs to be filled out last. If the date time group of your submission, of your report, is before the date time group of your observation, then that doesn't make any sense and you will receive a no-go. So line 1 is last, candidates. Line 2, you will write out the reporting unit and the method of observation. In this case, in your scenario, you will be Bravo Company, 2nd Battalion, 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment, and you will be observing with binoculars. Line 3 is the size of detected element. Based upon the targets that you see and the uniforms they're wearing, that will determine whether they are persons military or civilian and what type of equipment, military or civilian, they will have. You will not see any vehicles. In the case of our current targetry set, there are 3 military personnel. Line 4 is activity of detected element. That activity can be listed as either attacking, and you must give a direction from, in this case, attacking from north to south, or defending, and again direction, or moving direction, or stationary. Candidates, I highly recommend that you choose either stationary or moving from north to south. Stationary or moving from north to south. Now, line 5 has several steps to it, and we're going to demonstrate those now. Step 1 is the candidate must plot their location on the map. The candidate's location is listed at the top of his scratch piece of paper. 17 Sierra Papa Uniform 799 Tree 6 879er 42. You must plot your position on the map. Once you've plotted your position on the map, you must then take the compass and determine the azimuth to the targets that you're looking at, your enemy. Open the compass and you utilize the optics inside of it to do the cheek method, or you can do the chest method. It is up to you, as long as you get an azimuth to the targets. What's your azimuth, candidate?
30, Sergeant.
30. Okay, so you have a magnetic azimuth of 30. You must do a magnetic to grid conversion. That information is on the back of your map. Back of the map says that the conversion is what, candidate?
The conversion is from magnetic
To grid.
to grid is subtract the GM angle, which is 9.6 degrees.
So subtract 9.6 from 30. What is that?
20.4.
All right, 20.4. Alright, so the candidate will then plot his azimuth on his map at 20 degrees grid. It's really hard to find point 4, so 20 or 21, either one works. Make sure that your protractor is flipped the right way, candidates, so you can actually read the letters on it, because if it's upside down, you're going to get the wrong number. When you find 20 degrees, and you'll mark it, obviously to the right of the 0 at the top of the page, and then you'll use your protractor to draw a straight line from the marking at the 20 degrees you've made at the top of your protractor to your position on the map, and that gives you a straight line. Once you've plotted your straight line, you now must determine the estimated range to the target. At this time, we're going to display to you range estimation formulas. Alright, candidates, so range estimation. There are many ways in which to do it, but there's only one you're going to do here. Alright, it cuts down on any kinds of confusion. There are several things you need to know. Number one, this is an E-type silhouette. The standard E-type silhouette is 1.0287 meters tall. Again, 1.0287 meters tall. Alright? Why does that matter? What you're going to utilize is this formula. The height of your target, known height, i.e. the known height of the E-type silhouette, so the 1.0287 goes above, and then the size of the target you're looking at in the mill reticle of your binoculars. The number of mils from the bottom of the target to the top of the target is the number of mils that you're going to put down here. So if the known height is 1.0287 meters and the mill reticle says this is 10 mils high, you're going to put 10 mils right here. Then you're going to divide 1.0287 by 10. And then you're going to multiply that number by 1,000. And the total you get is the range to the target. The range to the target. You then take that range and you plot the point on the map for your target's position relative to your location based upon the range calculation that you've done here. And why is that important? Because the range from you to the range of the target is going to determine the target's location, and the target's 6-digit grid location is what you need in order to pass the test. Alright, so the candidate has now determined their range estimation, okay, utilizing their binoculars and mill scale reticle, and they've determined that the range to target is 300 meters. So at this point, the candidate will then utilize the scale on the back of their map, and to the left of the scale, as the candidate points at it, you will see 100-meter increments. Use those blocks to create a line on a piece of scrap paper, all right, or to measure it out, and then take that and put it on your map to determine 300 meters. An additional way to do this is to use your protractor, and we'll demonstrate that next. Either method is correct, depending on your preference. Each block is 100 meters. So the candidate has now measured out 300 meters. They can then flip the map over. And they'll take their 300 meters that they've just scaled out on their piece of scratch paper, and they'll put it on their line from the candidate's location to the target's direction. And then they will mark on the map 300 meters down the line. The candidates, while this is a viable method, it is also more difficult. The easiest method on this map is to take a protractor, using the same triangle you use to plot your grid points without having to look at the scale. Okay, you will know that those are 100-meter increments. So if your target is 300 meters, so you want to line your triangle up with the line that you drew. Make sure that the base of the triangle is where your point is that you're sitting on, and then you want to count up hash marks. And the target would be 300 meters, 1, 2, 3 hash marks up, and that's where you would plot your position. As you can see, it is equivalent. Alright, once you've plotted that position, now you're going to use your protractor to read the grid coordinates. Once you've determined what the grid coordinate is to your target, you're going to write that down as the enemy's position for line 5. Remember, candidates, I only need a 6-digit grid. If you give me more than 6 digits and they're incorrect, you will be a no-go. So you move to your spot rep, and for line 5, location of the enemy, 17 Sierra, Papa uniform, and then write out your grid. Alright, now we're complete with line 5. We're going to move to line 6. Line 6 is unit. Detected element, unit, organization, or facility. If it cannot be identified, it should be described in detail to include uniform, vehicle markings, or other identifying information. According to your OPT4 uniform. So the candidate's going to pull out the OPT4 uniform sheet, flip it over, and show you on video what the different uniforms are. Enemy regulars in the top left wearing DCUs. You have enemy officers wearing BDUs. You have enemy militia wearing the old school desert chocolate chip uniform, and then you have special forces in the UCP old ACU uniform. Alright, based upon the enemy that you observe through your binoculars on your target location, you're going to write down on line 6 the number of either officers, militia, special forces, or regulars. Alright? Whether they're conventional or irregular forces, doesn't matter. All I want you to do is write down the type of enemy they are. So it's going to be either enemy unknown or the enemy uniform that is demonstrated to you. 1 officer, 1 special forces, 2 irregulars, whatever. Alright? The only way you get away with unknown is if there are no uniforms on the targets. If there are uniforms on the targets and you write down unknown, you will be a no-go. Line 7, date time group of observation. This is the actual date time group of you filling out the report. So it would be written like this. Current time, 13/1100, September, SEP, 2023. That is a standard military date time group, and that's how it needs to be sent up. Alright, line 8, equipment, element observed. Alright, narrative can be added to clarify, describe, and there's a lot of options when you read through the manual. I'm going to tell it to you like this. You're going to say infantry weapons. Infantry weapons. If you say something crazy, like artillery or armored track vehicles or something like that we don't actually have out there, then you're going to get a no-go for making something up. Alright, follow what you see out there. If you see enemy targets, enemy personnel, assume they're armed. Infantry weapons. If you don't see a uniform on a target, there's no way to know if he's armed, so that's understandable. Line 9, your assessment. What is the reason or purpose of the activity that the enemy is doing? Alright, so if you tell me the enemy is stationary, you should not tell me that the enemy is attacking. Alright, it doesn't make sense. How would you know if they're just sitting there that they're attacking? Something that makes sense. Make sure you tie it into the activity that you've selected in your previous lines. Line 10, your narrative. That's what are you going to do? What are you doing about it? You should be continuing to observe. That's what you're continuing to do. And then what is the potential for something further from you, a further report? Your potential is going to be call for fire. So I am continuing to observe. Potential call for fire report to follow. There will be no other options. Line 11. Alright, this is where we're getting into authentication of your report. So the candidate's going to show you the SOI, the page with all your radio frequencies and call signs and all kinds of information. As you zoom in on the page and you look at it, you'll note at the top you have frequencies. You have the net ID, the call sign, you have your channels, all right? On your second group there, you've got number codes, challenge and passwords, running passwords. And then you have an area for authentication. To the left, you note the day. You as a candidate will be told what day it is. And you will have to utilize the authentication line for that particular day. You can choose to say, I authenticate, the number is 2, or the color is red, or the animal is fox, or the password is Irene. You choose one out of the 4. And then you ask the person you sent the report to for a response of something you selected. So for example, the color is I authenticate, the number is 2, what is the password? And the grader should reply with, I authenticate, the password is Irene. Alright? The grader is going to respond with the appropriate line for the day we have designated. So it is imperative that you utilize the appropriate line. If you authenticate with the incorrect line, it's going to be assumed that you're the enemy and you're a no-go at this time. Alright, properly formatted spot report looks like this. When you're sending up your spot report, you're going to call the appropriate call sign you were told to call through the script you were given, i.e. 2P2, this is 2P Bravo 3, spot rep to follow, prepare to copy over. And they'll respond and let you know it's time to send your report, and it goes like this. 2P2, this is 2P Bravo 3, line 1, 1 tree, 1110, September 202 tree, line 2, Bravo Company 2-505, line tree enemy personnel, line 4, moving from north to south, line 517 Sierra Papa uniform 790-880, line 6, 2 enemy regulars and 1 enemy militia, line 7, 1 tree 1100, September 202 tree, line 8, infantry small arms, line 9, reconnaissance patrol, line 10, as I was, line 10, continue to observe, potential call for fire, line 11, I authenticate, the number of the day is 16, what is the password? And then 2P2 should respond to you with the appropriate answer. That is how you send up your spot report.